Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Edinburgh Napier University MBA webinar. My name is Helen Spiropoulos, and I'm the Admissions Manager at Stafford Associates. And joining me this evening all the way from the university is the Director of the MBA programs, Mammed Bagher. Good evening to you, Mammed.
Good evening, Helen. Lovely to see you.
Good, and thank you everyone for joining us. I can see there's quite a few of you that have joined us already, and I see one or two already from Africa. How are we going to conduct the webinar this evening? I'm just briefly going to introduce you to Stafford and what our role is. I'm then going to hand you over to Mammed, who's going to go through the webinar literally in about 15 or 20 minutes, and then give you the opportunity to type out any questions that you may have. The questions are obviously going to be grouped together, so a lot of them are identical. So do listen out for your question and your answer. Okay, so let's get started. Stafford Associates was established in 1993, and we are a resource center for distance learning education in the Middle East as well as in Africa. We are currently the resource center for 6 UK universities, one of which is Edinburgh Napier University. We do offer a variety of programs ranging from certificates to diplomas, bachelors, MBAs, right through until doctorates. So we really do have all the qualifications for your personal and your professional needs. Now, our function here is to assist you throughout your application process. So the mere fact that you are here this evening means that you have been in touch with one of our experienced academic consultants. And over and above assisting you throughout the application process, we do also offer administrative support as well as some academic support. But I'm now going to hand you over to Mammed, and I'll join you towards the end of the webinar. Okay, over to you.
Helen, thank you very much. Good evening to you all, and welcome to Edinburgh, albeit virtually. Snowy Edinburgh, at the moment it's snowing. And I believe Dubai at the moment is about 37 degrees Celsius. So it's a huge divide as far as the temperature is concerned. Hopefully it's not going to be any divide whatsoever as far as the work we're going to be having together this evening is concerned. As Helen very kindly alluded to the fact that I've been here for a while, and I'm director of MBA programs, and for the last 14 years that I've been with the university, I've been privileged enough to lead and direct a suite of programs we have, the MBA programs we have here. And as part of the suite of MBA programs, we have the Global Online MBA, which includes this actual generalist MBA plus 14 different specialisms. We are situated in Scotland. Scotland is one of the countries which is part of the United Kingdom, and our university is in Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. Not sure how many of you guys have been to Scotland, but I'm very biased towards the place, and I'm absolutely, I think it's the center of the universe. It's so fantastic. It's actually the rough guides, more or less, commented on Scotland by saying it's the most beautiful country in the world, and I do actually accept what they're saying, if I may say so. Edinburgh, as a capital city, it's got its own parliament. Although we adhere towards the central government in the United Kingdom as far as law and rules and regulations are concerned. However, Scotland's got its own laws, its own taxation system, etc., etc., but is within the family of United Kingdom. We are home to more than 100 FTSE tech startups, and we are the largest startup organizations, the center for startup organizations outside London. And we are home also to the largest festival globally, the largest global festival, the Fringe Festival, which takes place every August in Edinburgh, and it lasts for a whole month. And it's, I'm sure the majority of you chaps and chapsters are aware of what Scotland is all about and the beauty of what Scotland is, and how much Scottish people and Scottish brain have contributed to global well-being and global development. As a university, we've got quite a number of awards, and one of our latest awards is what we became #1 in UK for nursing student talent, and that's something which we're very, very proud of. We have a very high rate of student employability. What that means is organizations at global level are aware of the way we teach and develop our students. And as a result of that, in excess of 95% of our students within 6 months of the completion of the studies, they're in a full-time position or they go into further studies. And that's an achievement which we're extremely proud of. That more or less reinforces what we do is the right way of doing it. And we are what's called an applied university. We don't only educate individuals to become academically aware of what's happening, but in the same time, we develop the capabilities into what we call the KIP, knowledge into practice. And it's that knowledge into practice which is giving us the award for nursing student talent. Because having the capabilities is one thing, being able to transfer those capabilities into something tangible is something which organizations are looking for. We have various awards, as I mentioned already, but 95% graduate employability is something which we really are very, very proud of. We are in the world's 6th school and 3 campuses. We have 6 schools within the 3 faculties that we have. We are based in our Craig Lockett campus, which is on your screen now, is a building that's is in the middle part of the screen. But you have a very old traditional building, and attached to that, quite a contemporary building, and that's our business school. However, the suite of our MBA programs are across faculty, and what that means is we have MBAs where the specialist subject areas are sitting at our Mercaston or Sighthill campus. We currently have just short of 20,000 students from 130 different nations. So that more or less illustrates how globally aware we are and how culturally diverse we are. And that again gives our students, current, future and alumni students, an access not only to education, but in the same time to global thinking through our fellow students. Just over 13,000 of our 20,000 students study with us on campus here in Edinburgh, and the remaining more or less 6,500 to 7,000 students are either online students like yourselves, who are going to potentially, hopefully become one of them, or in one of our partner universities throughout the globe. And we have partner universities all over the globe. An example of it being Hong Kong. We've been there for in excess of 25 years in one of our partner universities, and about just over 3,000 students we have over in Hong Kong. They never come to us; we go to them on a flexible basis to look after them. So that's more or less the background of how the university works. We've developed a global online program around about 8-9 years ago in order to give accessibility to individuals who wanted to be educated, who wanted British qualification and education. However, because of the geographical constraints or work constraints or financial constraints, for various reasons, individuals didn't have the time, etc., to attend classes over in UK. And as a result of that, we created our global online program, and to make it accessible. There are quite a number of nations globally now that are fast tracking themselves. And there is a huge amount of thirst and motivation now for individuals to really be on top of the game as far as running organizations are concerned. And that's where we come into it. We are education providers, and our job is, without discretion, to provide all of our students with everything that's within our capabilities to make individuals to go from good to better and from better to excellent. Our global exposure, as I explained earlier on, is quite vast, and what you have in front of you right now on the screen, it's just an indication of where really our major hubs are and where the majority of our work comes from. And as you can see, it's spread quite widely. Our MBA programs, regardless of whether it's face-to-face, whether it's executive, whether it's online, whether it's blended online, everybody have to go through a certain level of education, and there is a certain denominator. And the program consists of what we call 6+1+1 modules. We have 6 modules which are core modules, plus 1 module which we call the sales skills for manager, and that's a scoping study for individuals who are going to be writing the project, the thesis. Individuals who seek to become specialists in the field, and they choose specialist programs, then they have 4 core modules rather than 6. And in place of the 2 modules, which we reduction of 2 modules from this generalist, they have to study 2 specialist modules within their field. And what you have in front of you right now, it's more or less the MBA specialist routes that we have at the moment at your disposal. Those who decide to study generalists, as I mentioned earlier on, have to do building higher and marketing high performing organizations, marketing and finance, managing organizational change, leading the strategic decision making, research skills for managers and MBA projects. And on top of that, they'll be studying contemporary issues in strategic management and managing innovation. However, if you decide to go for any specialist modules, programs rather, and then instead of doing contemporary issues in strategic management and managing innovation, you'll be studying the related specialist modules. That will enable you to really specialize in your chosen field. We have interactive online resources, and those interactive online resources are designed more or less to bring the education to you, to bring the classroom to you. This isn't the correspondence course where people just receive information and they read up on it, and what they've got to do is respond and go back to do their assessments. It's literally a virtual university that you're going to be joining, and we'll induct you virtually from day one, and we give you direct access to all our resources. Academic resources are just one part of it. Get in touch with your fellow academics and other fellow students who are studying a program, just one part of it. The housekeeping that goes with the other factors, accessing to materials, research materials, so on and so forth. And to support you further, we have weekly surgery sessions where you can come online, very similar to what we're doing right now. And you have your online tutor or the related academic who's going to be spending time with you to make sure what you're studying is fit for purpose, and it keeps you going to the level that you have to be going. So we introduce our students first and foremost into the program, into the university, and then we start working with them on 2 modules, maximum 2 modules per trimesters. Trimesters mean we have 3 terms, whereas historically in higher education, universities used to have 2 terms, September to December, December, January to May, and that was it, and students used to have a summer vacation. What we've decided to do with this particular program was to make a trimester purely because the program is for professionals, and professionals don't take 3 or 4 month break every year from the profession. And why should they take that break from the education? So we have trimesters where we have start from September to December, January to May, May to July, so on and so forth. And students have the option of either studying 1 or two modules. We don't really encourage students to study more than 2 modules. Excuse me. I do stuff. I have a bit of a sore throat at the moment, unfortunately. That's why I'm not wearing a tie today. So my apologies, because my throat is quite feeling quite delicate. So each module is broken down to certain components. My apologies if the why and the delivery is standing alone in your presentation. I will look into that later on. We normally have between 10 to 11 units. The first unit normally gives you an overview of what you need to be doing during the course of the trimester. And then the 10 subject units take you on weekly basis, step by step, towards accomplishment of your particular module. To encourage you and motivate you further, we ask you to test yourselves and measure yourself at the end of each week. And that self-assessment is fundamental, because nobody can really judge your own capabilities as good as yourself. And providing you do what we call the end of unit progress tests in order to test your own capabilities, providing you do them, and you do them every week. Then by the time the whole semester is finished, the module is finished, we add up the grades or what you've done, the level of your achievement, and dedicate part of that to your overall grade. So in effect, 90% of your assessment at the latter part of the program, or module rather, is dedicated to the piece of coursework you have to do, and 10% of that comes from your end of unit progress tests. So the better you do with the end of unit progress tests, the more involved you are with the end of unit progress test, the nearer you get to that 10% extra. So you can't really submit the final piece of work knowing that you've already achieved up to 10% of the grade already. So that's a very good motivator for our students. The standard framework is fairly straightforward as far as we're concerned. Discussion topics, case studies, assessments available, online solutions, weekly WebEx virtual office hours. You have this myriad of resources in order to take you into really the level that you want to be. Education at master's level at times could prove to be slightly isolating and lonely, because it requires quite a lot of critical thinking. It causes, or it brings, extra challenges for our distance learning students as well, because it detaches them at times from other fellow students. We are mindful of that, and as a result of that, we created this standard framework where you don't feel alone, where you can really interact with other fellow students, with academics, program leaders, program directors, I myself, or our global online administrative team, who will help you a great deal in any way that you want. You require help. So there is a typical academic year calendar, which is I've just put up in front of you. And really, as I explained earlier on, we don't advise you to take more than 2 modules per trimester. And you can more or less within 5 trimesters achieve your goals by becoming a Master of Business Administration or Master of Business Administration Youth Specialist area. Bearing in mind each trimester is about 1 term, and there are 3 trimesters in 1 academic year. So technically within a couple of academic years, you should be able to complete, within 18 months or so, you should be able to, if you so desire, complete the program. And that's something which, it varies, as I said. You may decide to take study leave, you might decide to do 1 module rather than 2 modules. There's all sorts of flexibility there. Again, because we're aware of the fact that as a professional, the circumstances at times changes. And we have to change in order to cope with the circumstances around us. And as a result of that, certain parts of our profession, or at times the resourcing becomes so scarce that within our business we're going to have to really burn the midnight oil, and something's got to give, and you may need to, for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, park up your program or your studies till a later date, but have the facility there as well. Upon completion of the application process and joining us as a fellow student, we will give you introductory video. We'll get you into really introducing the program to you through our Moodle platform. You'll have an Edinburgh clock, so you know exactly what the times are, where you are, and the time in UK, in Edinburgh, and whether there's a British summertime or British winter time. Our time changes. Last Sunday, for example, we lost an hour because we moved from British winter to British summertime. And so the platform we've got is guides you, and it drives you, helps you towards the achievement of what you need to be doing. Then you move on to your modules, and the module overview again breaks everything down to chapters, and every single module has its own dedicated core textbook. Majority of the textbooks, we've written it ourselves as a textbook, because as academics, we also write books. 2 of the modules in the portfolio of the MBAs I've written myself. Management and Organizational Change core textbook, I wrote it myself. And the Leadership Learning and Development textbook for specialism in leadership, I wrote a book, for example, myself. So it's a part of our job is to stay on top of our game, and in the same time not to become detached from our students. And by writing the materials, including the core textbooks, that keeps our mind fresh. So the discussion forums, the student chat forums, all sorts of complementary resources available in order to really get you to achieve what you want to achieve. Reflection is fundamentally important. Critical thinking is important, and the reflective exercises that we provide you with on a weekly basis allows you to get much more in depth, up close and personal with the subject area. There are certain operational roles. You have the program director, program leader, module leaders, and module online tutors. You have administrative support team, and they all have their own roles and responsibilities in order to enable you to become an educated individual or further educated individual. We are education providers, so our, I suppose, claim to fame is for you to be successful, and we do everything that we can in order to make that happen. Dietary requirements as far as the qualification is concerned. You need to have certain type of qualification, certain level of qualification, predominantly around about 2 hours or above, plus 2 years relevant work experience. I'm sure your Stafford associates have already, consultants have already spoken to you about this. And if the English language is not your first language, then you really either normally you need to take a English test qualification, or if you work in an organization which everything is English spoken, or if your education was in English, then it'll suffice. We had some fantastic student feedbacks, and I'm really sorry about this. For some reason, the slides are not playing up properly. But we've had fantastically good response from our students as this feedback is concerned. And, you know, as you notice, we have airline pilots there, we've got brain surgeons, we've got doctors, we've got lawyers, we've got engineers, we've got accountants, we've got people from various professions. And they all have one thing in common: they want to become from good to better, or from better to excellent, and we are here to assist them. There is a fee for all this, I suppose, support, and I'll leave that to Helen, my colleague at Stafford, to break down the payment structure, because some of you guys might be from Africa, some of you guys might be from Middle East, so on and so forth, and the currency exchanges, etc., etc. There is a standard grant that Stafford associates are providing you with, and over and above that, you can pay your fees by installment. And as I said, as far as the fees and the fee structures and the monthly installments are concerned, Helen can help out. That includes our actual application deadline as well. So if I may hand over to my colleague Helen now, and if there are any questions, then myself and Helen would do our best to answer them.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you so much, Mammed. And yes, I've been looking at some of the questions already, and I've already started grouping them. So there's a very interesting question that has come from David. What makes your MBA stand out from any other MBA in the UK?
There are various reasons. I think the top number one reason is employability, graduate employability. We are an applied university. What that means is we don't only educate. Our students know how to make a contribution to knowledge, because every MBA student, by the time they finish their thesis, they have to illustrate a contribution to knowledge. But more importantly, our students make a contribution to the business sector they're in, or a business sector. That makes us unique. To create that capability or enable our students to have those capabilities, that makes them much, much more employable. And that's why there's a 95% employability rate, because the organizations globally know what Edinburgh Napier University stands for. I would say that's one of the most strongest, I suppose, sits on the top quartile. And the various others as well. We've won so many awards. And everything we do is fresh. Everything we do is contemporary. We change our materials on a regular basis in order to meet the demands of the global changes. For example, one of the modules which I'm personally involved with, managing organizational change, we had to literally redo the whole module in order to meet the demands of what's been going on in the globe in the last couple of years. So it's not a stale program, it's a continuously evolutionary and evolved program.
Good. And a question that has come up quite often, what is the word count for your dissertation? And do I have to come to the UK to do a viva voce?
There is a word count, yes. It's around about 14, possibly 15,000 words. It's a piece of consultancy work, which really not only it enables you to complete your thesis and be awarded an MBA as a result of that, but in the same time something that you can relate to your organization or an organization where you want to really upscale yourself into. And it's a fantastic door opener. So that's how you're going to have to look at it. No, you don't have to come to UK. You will be given a dedicated program supervisor whose job is to go through your thesis with you on a regular basis in order to develop you further. However, upon completion of your studies, we will send you an invitation to come over to UK with your loved one or loved ones to attend the graduation. If you so desire, you're more than welcome to join us for the graduation. If not, we'll send you your qualification, and you can even buy the video for the graduation.
Good. And if I do 2 modules simultaneously, in your opinion, how many hours a week should I be dedicating to my studies?
Ideally, Helen, I encourage all our master's students, MBA students, to find at least 15 hours, 15 hours per week to dedicate to critical thinking and your studies. And don't look at it, I always tell our master's MBA students, don't look at it as a study. Relate that to your work, relate that to circumstances in your work. Try to contextualize that on a continuous basis with reality. That makes it, firstly, much, much more accessible, much more memorable. And as a result of that, you actually have a much deeper understanding of what everything is all about. And the 15 hours, I would say, is more or less the minimum which I encourage you to find to study.
Okay, I have been informed that we do not require to purchase any additional material. However, I do know that you have an online library. How strong is this online library facility?
It's extremely strong. It'll give you access to, first of all the core textbooks. We buy them for you, the all online version of it, and we pay for them. For example, again, using management organization change as an example, the core textbook is retailing £60 sterling. We give it to you for free, online version of it. And so over and above that, you have access to all sorts of general articles, publications, etc., through our online resources within our library. However, one of the things I encourage students to do is to have their own tools and put them in their toolbox. Surgeons have a case with the necessary tools to operate on. Mechanics have a tool with toolboxes to repair cars. You're going to be a master in business administration. You're going to be, somebody's going to be a change manager. You're going to be a change agent. So you will in due course develop your own library, a library of knowledge. Knowledge has to be in here, but at times we need reinforcements. Whether you want to have that virtually or whether you want that in the form of hard copy. Capabilities are there, everything's available to you. You can be an old-fashioned guy like me. This is me. These are my books. These are that's my libraries, you know. And although I've got access to everything globally and on online programs, I've got my books. These are my tools of my trade. However, if you don't want to have a library like that, nothing is stopping you by printing whatever you have online. So the flexibility is there.
Excellent. And Wasim's question is, can you please highlight on accreditation?
You will be accredited with an MBA program. At the moment, we're working on accreditation, the partnership with AACSB, which hopefully we will finalize that soon. I really can't tell you exactly when, purely because I'm not allowed. We are very, very encouraged. We're going towards the latter part of it. Chartered Management Institute, CMI, recognizes us to the extent that our graduates can apply Chartered Management Institute for the education, for the studies, for the modules and qualifications, and get exemptions for. And we work with ILM, for example. So as far as businesses are concerned, as far as institutes are concerned, we're working very, very closely with them. As far as accreditation of badges are concerned, AACSB, which is one of the most I suppose important accreditation to have, is something that we're going towards the latter part of hopefully being accredited with an AACSB.
Okay, is there any way that I could possibly do a double major? A double major. So you'll do like
you got to be very careful with that. If anybody wants to do the double major, then normally what we do is we sit down and we have a conversation with that. We don't have a one-size-fits mentality with our students. So if a student wants to do something that's dual qualification, then we say, okay, let's have a conversation. Reasons why do you want to do it? Is it for marketing reasons? Is it for employability reasons? Is it for learning, etc., and we advise our students accordingly.
Okay, and there's about 4 students that have asked the same question, so I'll answer that. There is no mention of distance learning on your degree certificate or academic transcript. Okay, so I can see there are 4 questions on that one as well.
Helen, sorry to interrupt. As you know, a mode of study doesn't in any way increase or decrease the credibility of what individuals do. Regardless of whether you come here on daily basis to study or whether you are halfway across the world, you'll be taught exactly the same materials, you'll be studying exactly the same materials, and you require and you deserve exactly the same qualification, All our MBA graduates get an MBA, not the mode of delivery.
Excellent. Thank you, Mammed. And I've been told by Stafford that induction is very important. What would happen if I do not attend this induction?
You'll have difficulties. You'll have absolute difficulties. It's first and foremost, you have to get the roadmap. It's like going on a journey that you've never been before, without a roadmap, without satellite navigation unit, without GPS, and just hit the road. Guys, please do it the smart way, don't do it the hard way. The first and foremost, induction. And that's the roadmap to your education.
Some universities have said that they allow students to complete their MBA in a maximum of 5 years. Does this apply to your MBA as well?
There are the various QAA standards which we adhere to. Students can take time off. Students can have excellent circumstances. The various factors that students can shorten or fast track the qualification, or increase the term of the studies. Again, that's very much on one-to-one basis, because no individual's circumstances are exactly the same.
Okay. And if I happen to fail an assignment, do I get critical review from the tutor so I know where I have gone wrong?
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully you don't fail, students don't fail. We do have the audience individuals at times, most of the time actually through no fault of their own. Circumstances get the better of them, and they don't achieve the grade that they have to achieve to pass. They'll get a very in-depth critical appraisal of what they should have done and which areas they've fallen short on. And we give them another opportunity to resubmit the coursework based on the recommendations, and hopefully then they successfully complete. We have a very, very high completion rate, Helen, as you know.
Absolutely. And if I start my degree via the online distance learning mode, and halfway through my studies I decide to immigrate, can I then come onto the campus and do it full time?
Of course. That's a short answer. Obviously, it all depends on whether you're European Union, non-European Union, so whether you need a visa to get here, whether you need a student visa. But you are more than welcome to come anytime you want, either to further study with us. Even if you're on holiday, more than welcome to come and see us. And as a guest student, we sit in one of the classes as well.
Okay, and I'll just answer the question on student cards. I see there's 3 questions, all very similar. Yes, the university does provide you with student cards. It does get posted to you, which can take up to 6 weeks to get posted to you. But you are treated as a standard student, whether you're full-time or online distance learning. And you can obviously go to the university and visit the campus, visit your tutors, and you can use the student card whilst you are at the campus.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, I seem to have actually grouped all the questions that we have this evening. I've managed to group them all together. As Mammed has said, we do have a very good scholarship for people that do actually register through Stafford. So do get in touch with your Stafford consultant. They will be able to give you the fee structure on that. And our application deadline is coming up very quickly. It's the 9th of May. There are limited places available, so I really do encourage you to send your documents to your academic consultant as soon as possible. Very welcome to contact me as well, but I believe you have been in touch with your personal academic advisor. Again, Mammed, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure having you with us again this evening.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Have a good evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.